Have you ever felt surrounded by difficulties, with the sense that problems have no end? Perhaps you are going through a spiritual, emotional, or even physical battle. But what if I told you that there is a powerful protection, something that can change your life and strengthen you in the face of any adversity? This protection is not something you need to search for outside of yourself. It is available at all times, through trust and faith in something greater. Psalm 91 is the key that opens the door to this divine refuge, where you can find rest and protection. One of the most powerful psalms in the Bible, and the secret it holds to protect us. I know you have heard of this psalm, maybe even seen someone use it as an amulet. But what many people don't know is that it has a deep meaning capable of transforming our spiritual life. This psalm goes beyond words written on a page. It is a living prayer, a spiritual shield that, when understood and applied correctly, can help us overcome life's greatest storms. In this video, you will learn how to apply the words of this psalm to your life and discover the true power of trusting God as your refuge and fortress. If you're tired of fighting alone, seeking answers for the peace and protection you so desperately need, you cannot miss this message. Together, let's learn how to protect ourselves from the enemy's traps and receive the peace that only God can offer. It's time to stop feeling vulnerable and learn how to use this powerful spiritual tool that, beyond protection, can bring healing, peace, and renewed strength to every area of your life. Stay until the end, because I will show you how you can apply these teachings directly in your life and receive the divine protection you long for. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. Have you ever felt insecure, at the mercy of circumstances, not knowing where to turn? This is a very common feeling, especially when facing difficult times. But Psalm 91 begins with a powerful promise of security that acts as a refuge for those who seek protection. What the psalm reveals to us right at the beginning is that there is a safe place, a shelter that goes beyond any human or material security. It's a place where we can find rest and trust because it is more than a physical place. It is a deep relationship with God. When the text speaks about being under the shadow of the Almighty, it invites us to live under the protection of a God who is stronger than any adversity. It assures us that, as we draw near to God with faith, we are enveloped by this invisible yet powerful protection. This is the first step, to trust completely in God as a safe refuge and invincible fortress, knowing that, no matter how the storms come, He will be with us. And when it says He is our God, the one in whom we trust, the verse speaks of a personal relationship. It's not about a distant and inaccessible being, but a God who cares intimately and constantly for our lives, ready to protect us. At its core, these first verses invite us to trust in God's character, knowing that He is our safe shelter and fortress in the face of any threat. And this trust is not empty. It is supported by the experience of those who, throughout time, have seen and experienced divine faithfulness. When we take refuge in God, we surrender to His care, and we can rest knowing that we are under His protection. For He will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. In verses 3 and 4, Psalm 91 gives us even more reasons to trust completely in God, offering powerful images of His protection. The first promise we find is about how God delivers us from traps and dangers we often don't even see. Imagine walking down a path and suddenly, a trap is about to be set, but without you noticing, God has already delivered you from this snare. He protects us from hidden dangers that we can't always predict or control. Sometimes we pass through dangerous situations unaware that we've been kept safe, and this is God's grace, which saves us from what we cannot see. The psalm also speaks of a perilous pestilence. This can be interpreted as a reference to diseases, crises, or any threat that could affect our health and well-being. God promises to protect us even from sicknesses and the evils surrounding us. He is our defense against what threatens us physically, emotionally, or spiritually. And the next image is even more comforting. God is compared to a bird that covers us with his feathers, like a protective shelter, caring for us with affection and love. The metaphor of being under his wings conveys the idea of genuine and constant care, a place of security where no one can reach us. Moreover, God's truth is described as our shield and protection. This reminds us that by trusting in God's character and his word, we are shielded from the lies and deceptions that may arise around us. God's truth is unchanging, and it is with this truth that we are guarded. It is the solid foundation on which we can rely. These verses speak of the immeasurable security that God offers, not just in general, but in specific moments of difficulty, protection from invisible evil, and physical and emotional protection. Through his faithfulness, we can rest secure, knowing he is always alert and ready to protect us. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. Now, verses 5 and 6 bring an even deeper promise of protection. God tells us that by trusting in him, we can live without fear, no matter what happens around us. The first important point is that God's presence in our lives gives us the courage to face our deepest fears and threats that usually paralyze us. When the psalm says, "You shall not be afraid," it challenges us not to let fear dominate us. Fear of what might happen at night, fear of what we cannot see, but feel as a threat, fear of unpredictable situations that may arise at any moment. But with God as our refuge, these fears no longer have the power to control us. He gives us the confidence to sleep peacefully, even when everything around us seems uncertain. The psalm also speaks of both visible and invisible threats. The arrow that flies by day can be seen as direct attacks in life, those difficulties and trials that come from the outside, like conflicts, financial problems, challenges at work or with family. The arrow that flies swiftly is unpredictable, but God's promise is clear. We will not be struck by it. He is there to protect us from everything that tries to knock us down, even when we cannot see the direction of the attack. Next, the psalm speaks of pestilences that walk in darkness, representing threats that come stealthily, without warning, and affect us deeply, such as diseases, weaknesses, or even emotional crises. These threats often catch us off guard, but God assures us that, when we are under his protection, these pestilences will have no power over us. And then there is the destruction that lays waste at noonday, a metaphor for crises and destructions that seem inevitable and could even reflect situations of chaos and suffering around us. Although evil may be in plain sight, and sometimes even seem to be in broad daylight, the psalm assures us that God is keeping us from all destruction. Death and evil, represented by this destruction, will not have dominion over us when we trust in the Lord. These verses teach us that, even in the face of evil, visible and invisible difficulties, and constant threats that arise in our daily lives, we can walk in peace. The secret is in trusting God, knowing that he is greater than any fear, greater than any attack or crisis, and that under his protection, nothing can destroy us. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. In verses 7 and 8, God's promise of protection becomes even more powerful and visible. God assures us that, even in the face of mass destruction, when evil seems to strike everyone around us, we, who trust in him, will be preserved. The first part speaks of a scene of chaos, where many fall by our side, where evil seems to spread on all sides, affecting people close to us, and even causing great damage. But despite all this, there is a promise that we will not be touched. It's as if, in the midst of a devastating storm, God places us in a safe place, where nothing can affect us. He is our shield, our protection, and as we remain in him, we can be calm, even when everything around us seems to be falling apart. This image of 1,000 falling at our side and 10,000 at our right is a metaphor for the challenges that life imposes on us. It may be that, at some point, we face losses, struggles, and difficulties, but with God as our refuge, nothing can destroy us. Even when others around us suffer the consequences of their choices or circumstances, divine protection keeps us firm, immune to destruction. And the psalm continues by saying that we will see, with our own eyes, the reward of the wicked. This does not mean that we wish evil upon others, but that, among those who choose wrong paths or live in disobedience, God shows us the difference between those who walk with Him and those who do not. As we remain firm in our faith and trust in God, He will show us His justice, without us having to act or seek vengeance. God takes care of everything, and it is time. He will bring the reward for each one. These verses show us that, even if evil spreads and many around us go through difficulties, God's protection keeps us safe and away from the negative impact. And more than that, He guarantees that, by remaining in His presence, we will see His justice manifest. Because You, O Lord, are my refuge, even the Most High, Your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. Now, in verses 9 and 10, Psalm 91 invites us to reflect on the place where we find true security, in God, our refuge. When we say that God is our refuge, we are recognizing that, regardless of the storms that may arise, it is in Him that we find protection and rest. We are not seeking security in wealth, in people, or in material things, but in God, the Creator of the universe, who is the only one capable of protecting us fully and constantly. He is our shelter, the place where we can take refuge when the difficulties of life surround us. The psalm tells us that, by making our dwelling in the Most High, by making God our home, we will be in a safe place, where He takes care of every detail of our life. This does not mean that we will not face difficulties, but that, in the midst of them, we are assured that our trust in God keeps us protected. He guards us from all evil, whether visible or invisible, known or unknown. The promise that follows is even more specific. No evil shall befall us, nor shall any plague come near our dwelling. This is a promise of total protection. God is not telling us that we will live a life without struggles, but that, even when evil surrounds us, it will have no power over us. He assures us that, while we are under His protection, evil will not strike us permanently. Nothing, absolutely nothing, can separate us from His protective hand. These verses call us to reflect on the importance of making God our refuge, seeking His presence constantly, and trusting that, when we place our lives in His hands, we are safe. Even when evil tries to approach, God guarantees that we will be protected, and that nothing can separate us from His faithfulness. For He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. They shall bear you up in their hands, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. In verses 11, 12, and 13, Psalm 91 reveals God's divine care in an even more personal and protective way. God, in His faithfulness, sends His angels to guard and sustain us, assuring us that He is with us every moment of our journey. The first important point is the promise that God gives His angels charge over us to protect us. Imagine this: heavenly beings sent by God, who accompany and guard us in all our ways. This is a reminder that we are not alone. Even when we are facing challenges or walking through unknown paths, God sends angels to protect us, guide us, and intercede for us. They surround us with protection, preventing evil from reaching us in any way. Next, the psalm speaks of how these angels sustain us in their hands, preventing us from stumbling. This image is so comforting. Even when life situations seem unstable, when the path seems slippery and full of obstacles, God promises that He will sustain us. He lifts us up, strengthens us, and gives us balance so we do not fall. Trusting in His protection allows us to move forward, even when the journey seems difficult. Finally, we have the image of treading upon the lion and the cobra, symbols of evil and danger. The lion, representing strength and threat, and the cobra, symbolizing deceit and betrayal, are conquered. God gives us the authority and ability to tread upon these dangers, overcoming everything that could harm us. The psalm guarantees that, with God by our side, nothing can defeat us. Even the greatest enemies and the most powerful threats cannot prevail against divine protection. These verses are a powerful reminder that, by fully trusting in God, We are protected by invisible forces that help us overcome any challenge. No matter what rises against us, God's presence gives us victory, and He sustains us in His mighty hand. Before the final passages, I have a request for you. If this message has touched your heart and you believe it can help someone, don't forget to like and share. Share it with those who need protection and strength at this moment. Let's spread this blessing and reach more lives with this powerful word of faith. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him, and show him my salvation. In the final verses of Psalm 91, we see the reward for those who cling to God with love and trust. God, in His faithfulness, promises to take special care of us and give us everything we need. First, God speaks of how He will deliver and protect those who love and cling to Him. The key here is the relationship with God. It's not just a simple request for protection, but a relationship of intimacy and deep trust. When we cling to God, when we seek Him sincerely, He becomes our fortress. He places us in a safe place, where nothing can touch us. The promise is clear. Those who draw near to God with love are the recipients of His special care and constant protection. God also tells us that, when we call upon Him, He will hear us and answer. In times of trouble and difficulty, He will be with us, not letting us face the battles alone. No matter the size of the storm or the weight of affliction, God will be by our side, delivering us, giving us strength, and glorifying His presence in our lives. He is the present help in every time of need. Finally, God promises long life and His salvation. This is not just a physical gift, but also a spiritual one. God does not promise a life free from difficulties, but He promises to sustain us, guide us, and give us His purpose. The salvation He offers is more than the promise of long life. It's the promise of His constant presence, of a life full of peace, trust, and the assurance that, with Him, we have everything we need to live well. These verses remind us that, by clinging to God with love and trust, He guarantees us protection, answers in times of distress, and a full life in His presence. He is our security, our strength, and our peace.